is it about being on the lake that is just so relaxing? Is it the sound of the waves lapping up against the shore? Is it the look of the sun reflecting off the water? Is it the feel of the breeze on your skin? If you grew up on the lake, then I bet any time that you're on the water, you simply feel at peace. I bet this is the same for Peter. Peter, one of the disciples of Jesus, because he grew up on the shores of Lake Galilee. And when he was old enough to have a profession, he picked being a fisherman. This is what he knew. I wonder if he smiled every time he took a boat out onto the water. Well, can you imagine how surprised he was when he was fishing and then one day Jesus comes, unprompted, into his life and says, "Follow me. I will make you a fisher of people." Fish for people? There's no way that Peter could have understood at that moment what Jesus meant. But over time, over the next 3 years, Peter realized that Jesus wanted to train him, wanted to teach him how to be his disciple. Over those 3 years, he became a fisher of people, where he went and shared this message of God's love throughout the whole world to all the people. Yes, I bet those 3 years of following Jesus were some of the most exciting times in Peter's life. This all changed after Jesus was arrested and crucified. Peter saw his life crumble around him when he saw Jesus put on a cross. But then Easter morning, Jesus was resurrected. The risen Christ is here. You know that Peter must have thought that life was simply going to go back to how it was before. That he and the rest of the disciples could simply come and start following Jesus again, like they had the 3 years prior. But Peter realized things can't go back to how they were before. You know, life was different now, even with the risen Christ. There's one moment when Peter and a couple of the other disciples are sitting around and they don't know what to do now. They don't know what the path forward is for them. And so Peter looks at them and says, "Let's go fishing." And of course he does. Of course Peter suggests fishing. This is what he knew. This is his background. This was in his blood. "Let's go fishing," he says to them. Have you ever had a moment like that in your life? A moment where you can remember a time when your faith is on fire, where you feel like God is using you and you are excited to be used by God, but things then fade. Things change. They're not what they were once before, and you say, "Can't we just go back to the way things were?" And then in that moment of not knowing what the path forward is, like Peter, you think to yourself, "Let's just go fishing." And so they do. Peter and the rest of the disciples go out fishing. They went all night. And you know what? They didn't catch a thing. Not one fish. Can you imagine how just fatigued and tired they must have been? How depressed that they fished all night and didn't catch a thing? And so about the time that the sun is rising up over the lake, they begin to bring their boat back into shore. And they see someone. They see someone on shore. They don't recognize him. They don't know who he is, but he yells out to them. He says, "Hey, what are you doing?" And they say, "Well, we're fishing." And he says to them, "Why don't you try fishing on the other side of the boat?" I have to think that the disciples were maybe a little bit offended at this point, thinking, "Of course, we've done this before. We've been fishing all night. This is our profession. Yeah, we've fished both sides of the boat before." But they decide to do it. And they put their nets from one side to the other. And in that moment, they catch so many fish that they're not strong enough to bring the net back into the boat. It's at that moment that they want to take a closer look at who the person is on shore. And one of them looks and says, "It's Jesus. Jesus is on shore." When Peter hears that, when he learns that it's Jesus who is there 100 yards away from them on the shore, do you know what he does? He jumps. He jumps into the water. With all of his clothes on, he jumps and he swims into shore to see Jesus. Why would Peter do that? Why would he not simply wait for the boat with the rest of the disciples in it to come with all of their fish back to shore? I believe that Peter does not wait, that he jumps in with all of his clothes on, because he does not want to waste one more moment, not one more second from not following Jesus. In that moment, Peter realizes that things will never go back to how they were before. Yes, things are changed now, but that's okay, because Jesus is creating this new environment, this new life that he is able to follow, and he does not want to waste any time engaging in that life. Where are you this Easter morning? Where do you find yourself? Perhaps you feel like your faith was once on fire, but has now waned. That God is not as present or as close to you in your life as you would desire God to be. Maybe you think back to last Easter and how you felt close to God, and you think now in this current Easter that it doesn't quite feel the same way. I'm here to tell you that you can jump just like Peter. That you can drop everything you're doing, to drop every part of your life and say, I am going to follow. That just like Peter, we all get the choice to see the risen Christ on the Easter morning, to look at Jesus on the seashore and jump.